The city of Hanamori was once full of life. Children laughed in the streets, food vendors shouted across crowded markets, and at night, paper lanterns glowed like tiny stars outside every home. But war changed everything. Bombs fell from the sky without warning. Buildings burned. Families disappeared overnight. 14-year-old Ren ran through the smoke, holding his 6-year-old sister, Aiko, tightly in his arms. "Aiko, don't look back!" he shouted. But she already had. She saw their house burning behind them, and she saw the last thing no child should ever see: their mother trapped inside the flames. Days passed. Ren and Aiko found shelter inside an abandoned storage shed near the edge of the ruined city. There was no electricity, no blankets, barely enough food. The nights were cold and terrifying. Aiko cried every evening. "I'm scared of the dark," she whispered. So Ren built a small lantern using scraps of metal and torn paper. Inside, he placed a tiny candle. The soft, golden light filled the shed. Aiko smiled for the first time in days. "Mom will find us now," she said softly. "She'll see the lantern." Ren forced himself to smile. "Yeah, she will." But after Aiko fell asleep, Ren quietly turned away and cried alone in the darkness. Food became harder to find. Ren searched ruined streets every day for scraps. Sometimes he found old bread, sometimes nothing at all. One afternoon, he traded his father's watch for a small bag of rice. Another day, he sold his own coat for medicine when Aiko developed a fever. The winter grew colder. Ren's hands cracked from the freezing air. But every night, no matter how hungry he was, he lit the lantern. Because when the lantern glowed, Aiko smiled, and when she smiled, the war felt a little farther away. One evening, Aiko handed Ren half of her rice ball. "You should eat too," she said. Ren laughed gently. "I already ate earlier." It was a lie. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. That night, while Aiko slept, Ren collapsed outside the shed from exhaustion. Snow slowly covered his shoulders, but in his hand, he still protected the tiny lantern flame. Aiko's fever became worse. She could barely stand anymore. Still, every night she looked at the lantern with hopeful eyes. "Do you think Mom misses us?" she asked. Ren stayed silent. Then finally, he spoke the truth he had hidden for weeks. "Aiko, Mom isn't coming back." The little girl stared quietly at the lantern. The room became painfully silent. Then she asked the question Ren feared most. "Then why do you still light it every night?" Ren's voice trembled. "Because when you look at it, you stop being afraid." Aiko slowly reached for his hand. "I'm not scared when you're here either." Ren broke down crying. For the first time since the war began, he allowed himself to cry in front of her. The next morning, the snow finally stopped. Warm sunlight touched the city for the first time in weeks. Aiko opened her eyes weakly. "Ren," she whispered, "the light is pretty today." Ren smiled softly. "Yeah, it is." That evening, he lit the lantern once more. The small flame flickered gently beside them. Outside, hundreds of fireflies drifted above the frozen river like glowing stars. Aiko watched them with tired eyes. "They look like little souls," she whispered. Then slowly, she fell asleep in Ren's arms. Forever. Ren sat there silently through the night, holding her close beside the lantern's fading glow. And as dawn arrived, the candle finally burned out. But the warmth of his love never did. Sometimes people survive not because the world is kind, but because someone chooses to become their light in the darkness.